Hello lovely people of the internet, my name is Them Watch Reviews and today I have the Dominatore Del Mare RAVELLO Automatic in kelp green. This timepiece is obviously quite different than a lot of watches that you would see that are a sort of Microbrand tier, but also higher up, more respected Swiss or Japanese watches. It's quite unusual. I know that a lot of high horology watches have timepieces similar that are like a kind of resin. This one on the Dominatore Del Mare website is just described as plastic. I will say the material in the kelp green here, it feels higher quality than plastic. Feels higher quality than, say, the plastic you can find on Casios or Timexes. But I guess there's only so much you can really say for the quality of plastic. So this timepiece is really quite unusual. You can see that despite the plastic case itself, it is mounted onto 316L stainless steel for the integrated strap there, and then it is open case back, although they've gone for a sort of smaller partition just for the rotor on the back there. And it is nice, and I like that they've printed and stamped their name on the rear there, and you can see the movement beating away. The crown is also stamped, which is quite nice, and I do like the hang on, let me get that to focus. Gosh. You can see it there. It's stamped with their logo. I do like that they've done that. It's quite a nice touch. I like that it's the sort of rose gold PVD matching the same with the sort of screws. I don't believe these screws hold any actual purpose, because you can actually see through the side of the case and they don't go very far down, and there is no bezel or anything to secure there. So these sort of purely aesthetic screws on the bezel. I like that they match the crown, and it matches the sort of colours around the indexes on the inside as well. And obviously that all matches the beating heart of the watch in its colour. So it's a dive watch style timepiece, but I don't believe it has any real water resistance whatsoever. So despite the very large indexes and hands, the big baton hands with the what looks like a lot of lume, I don't have my ultraviolet torch at the moment, but the lume isn't really that impressive, I must say. It's decent, but it's like a lot of these Microbrand watches where they're of the kind of more AliExpress market. The lume isn't what you're buying it for. You're buying one of these timepieces for well, you're either buying it for a homage, something that's basically a spot on another watch but of similar quality but not quite, or you're buying it just for the quirky difference that you don't really quite see in the main watch market. So it's a skeletonized dial, and obviously it's quite nice to see. Most often when watches do a skeletonized dial, it's a fun gimmick like this one. I think this is quite a fun gimmick. Obviously crappier movement, because it's I can't remember what quite the movement was. They didn't actually say it on the website. You have to then Google, and I think it was maybe a Salita. The movement itself, they're not anything special. It's skeletonized, it's fully exposed, therefore if it takes a few knocks and bashing about, it could possibly stop working or need a service or lose time, but it's a fun gimmick and it's a very affordable watch at $140. I mean, that's practically nothing. £110, a little bit of shipping it was as well. And the dial is quite impressive. I mean, it is quite dark, I would say, for a skeletonized dial. Fairly dark. It does take the light quite well, as you can see there. But I believe because the case back is quite small, and it's such a large case back, the light doesn't travel through all that well, and therefore it makes the skeleton appear a bit darker. It's a 45mm case, but the actual dial itself is fairly small, and because the chapter ring is, you know, it's quite deep and inset, it makes the dial appear even smaller. So I've got my Sestrian dive watch here next to it. Let's see if I can get some better focus. Oops. So here's my Sestrian dive watch next to it, which is a 42mm, and the dial sizes appear quite similar, despite the case size being so different. In fact, the case sizes don't look that different either, to be honest. But because of the integrated strap, I will say that despite being quite a thick watch, it actually wears really well on the wrist. The crystal itself is mineral. They don't state which kind. I can't say if it's K1 or anything else, but you know, yeah, with mineral, you're going to have a bit more scratchability. I'm not sure if the camera can pick up the noise, but that makes it sound sort of similar to Hesalite, but I'm not quite sure if it actually is Hesalite. The strap itself is quite nice, I will say. There's two different textures on it. I'm not sure if I will pick it up too well on the camera. But on the top there's this sort of like waffle sort of dive watch style, and then underneath there's this sort of zigzag. It's quite a nice little detail. There's no real purpose for it, I imagine, but it's quite a nice little detail. There are access to the push pins if you wanted to take out the strap and change it with another, I suppose, but you might struggle to find any others aside from the other ones for the Ravello collection. The buckle is finished with their logo. See if I can get that to focus. I've only got the one hand, so it's quite difficult. Oop. There we go. You can see the logo. As its thickness. I think because it is mineral crystal and the bezel isn't raised any higher than the crystal itself, you know, there's a possibility it could scratch easier. And there is also a sort of a lip. I'm not sure if it's visible there on the camera, but when I run my finger from the bezel to the actual crystal itself, you can see there that my nail bumps up against the crystal itself. So the crystal is probably even actually raised a bit higher than the bezel. So there is no real protection for that crystal. I reckon if I was to wear this as a beta watch, it would get scratched, it would get messed up. It's much more of a kind of every now and then gimmicky piece. Dive watch style, but the lume's not great and it's got no water resistance to speak of. 5 bar, I think, so not even really swimming, maybe washing your hands. But I'll pop this on my wrist now and we'll see how that looks. Okay, so I just think it's worth mentioning that this is the box it came in. It's got a bunch of scratches on it, it's a bit beat up. I do appreciate a box that comes with a way to display the watch though, and you know, the papers sit there in the bottom of it, and it's simple. It's nothing special about it, but I've said in my last video, and I fully believe it. If you look at the presentation that you get in a Tissot box that's an authorized retailer, or of a Seiko box, or watches that are, you know, obviously still not like high end, but you know, a higher price point on average than say the $140 I spent on this timepiece, I will say that I do believe the box presentation here is better. I'm sorry about the noise that might be hearing in the background. It's summer, people gotta mow the lawns, so that's what's happening. This is the timepiece here on the wrist. It is a little bit later than in the day than earlier, because my battery ran out on this camera and I had to go and charge it a bit. Fits great at the wrist, loads of space on the wrist, loads of space on the strap. I don't know if you can see just there, but next to, like in that first band of the ring holding the strap, you can see that it has these little notches either side that hold it in place. I really like that. In fact, this whole strap feels great on the wrist. It's obviously a silicone strap. It feels great. The watch, despite it being 45mm and therefore quite naturally quite a large size, I would say that it's quite impressive in the way that it feels so light. Obviously it's a plastic watch, skeletonized dial. Those things are going to make it feel, it's going to make it feel definitely quite light. But, you know, 45mm, I think I have a very average sized wrist. It does look big. It does look like an Omnitrix. Shout out anyone who gets that reference. But definitely, I think quite cool. Bit of a toy watch, bit of a fun one, just a bit of fun. Let's have fun with this hobby, guys. Let's have fun with the hobby of watches. It can't just be all serious dress watches. It can't just be all serious, just field watch after field watch, boring timepieces. It's summer. Let's have fun with it. I say it's summer, but I'm way up in Scotland, despite the English accent. It's a lot of rain here right now, but I'm still trying to enjoy it like I'm on holiday, got my pina colada and hanging out and chilling. Great timepiece. $140, £110. Quite a fun little company. Italian it's supposed to be. Let's be honest, they're probably not. I've not done my research, but what other companies are there? Filippo Loretti is another sort of Italian style microbrand. I mean, every time I'm buying a microbrand that's especially the sort of Chinese AliExpress style market, I'm fully aware that they're probably all going to be based out of China, and that's no problem. I'm not buying this to last. If I want a timepiece to last, I'll get myself a Swiss watch. But this is, I'm very happy with that. I'm not sure if there's any anti-reflective coating on it. As you can see, it's really reflecting my light, my skylight, quite to an extreme there, but the case itself, look at the case under that light. I think that looks great. So that's it on the watch, on the wrist, and I appreciate you guys sitting around and listening and watching this video. If there's any timepieces you think I should maybe do my research in, maybe invest in, buy, review, just leave a comment. And I really appreciate you watching today's video. Like, subscribe, anything else, I really appreciate it. Thank you very much, and goodbye.